Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and I'm taking care of business. Joining me today is Paula Allen, Global Leader and Senior Vice President for Research and Total Wellbeing with LifeWorks. Paula, the LifeWorks just put out a new mental health index, 23rd consecutive month that it's been negative. Are we going to see this start to flip at any time soon?
Well, anytime soon, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Yeah, we've been under strain for a long period of time, and that has impacted us. As a matter of fact, one of the measures around psychological health really measures how we're viewing our own psychological well-being, our own mental health, and how sustainable that change is. So it's one thing to say, I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety. It's another to say, I am more anxious. I'm a more anxious person.
Yeah.
And more of us are actually feeling the latter. So this has become a bit of a part of us. And there's all sorts of upheaval that we're still going through right now. But with all of that, we're very, very malleable as human beings. Even though I do think it will take some time and some intention, I do think that we have the tools available to us to resume where we were and even improve beyond that.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a couple of different aspects of the latest index. First is, I found this one really interesting. 66% said that they were comfortable with less social interaction. That actually kind of surprised me, because I thought, it would have been a lot lower than that people are just craving more social interaction.
And if we had done this very early in the pandemic, when our world started to get a lot smaller, I think we would have seen people very uncomfortable with that lower social interaction. But we've gotten used to it. People can get used to things that are not necessarily in their best interest. We've developed new patterns, new expectations. It's more comfortable now, because anything different than what we've had for the last 2 years, a long time, is a change.
Yeah.
But I do think we need to really pay attention to this in particular, because it is that social support, it is that positive interaction with other people that helps us balance our stress and manage our stress, one of the major things. And we've already had a lesson with it being more comfortable and easier because of cars and delivery and all sorts of things to have less physical activity. And that's not good for our physical health. Less social interaction is not good for our mental health.
Yeah, and can you talk a little bit more about that, the importance? Granted that we may be becoming more comfortable and more used to the less social interaction, but what impact does that have on people overall and in their overall well-being over time?
It's massive. It's one of the foundational pieces. We've been actually trending in this direction even before the pandemic. We've had a measurable increase in anxiety, isolation over the past couple of decades. So, this has been enough of a concern from a health point of view. It's been noted by the Surgeon General in the United States. There's a minister of loneliness in the UK and now one in Japan. We know through research that this isolation, this lack of, social contact and interaction, sense of belonging, is such a strain on our health that it actually not only increases the chance of mental health issues, but also cardiovascular risk, also immune system problems. It is not healthy for us as human beings. Mm-hmm. So this change in our societal behavior and comfort with less is not a good thing, and one of the things that I think we're going to have to work against.
One of the interesting things is when we look at careers, and I saw some interesting numbers there about the number of people that are altering their career goals. I think it was about 30%, 11% looking at career change. Why do you think that's happening? Why is this period of time focus people's attention on their careers and where they're going?
I think people have become much more analytic about their lives over the last while. When you have things taken away, you start to really think very carefully about what's important to you. So just the lack of activity and variety in our days has given us time to reflect. And the important thing in our data is it's not just changing jobs, it's changing careers.
Yeah.
So not just moving from one employer to another, but really changing how you spend your time, like what you put time in at work, what your path is, even to the point of needing to be retrained. So I think people have become more reflective, and many more people are actually making decisions around the time they spend working as their time in life, not that kind of work-life separation. I'm going to work and do my job and get my money, and then I'm going to come home and I'm going to live my life, or I'm going to work out work-life balance. We're having higher standards in terms of how we spend our time in work situations, and that's made some people want to make different decisions.
Also, like the category of managers, I found intriguing. 55% are more likely to make a change in their careers. Is it because of all the stress? I guess, if you're in management, you're under a lot of stress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because, this reflection and this need to make a difference, a lot of it is driven by stress. Like when you're in an uncomfortable place, you think about how you can make that change. And we've seen it even in higher divorce rates and things of that sort. So we do know that there's that relationship. And we have seen in our data that over the past while, managers have been under tremendous strain. So the challenges that they have themselves, but layers of business as well as team responsibilities when we're going through this upheaval. So not surprising that managers are over, more than half are really making this consideration.
Okay, and the last thing I wanted to ask you, Paula, is there's also 21% of people surveyed were considering retirement. Why do you think? Do you think more and more people, because of what we've been through, and are looking at retiring, and maybe retiring earlier than they thought?
Yeah, that is it. I mean, when you are in an uncomfortable place, you do want to make a change, and if you have the option to retire, then that's something that'll come up as something you consider. And I think retirement in particular is there's a big driver towards that because people are feeling exhausted, emotionally exhausted.
Yeah.
So, just going into another situation, sometimes they say the change is as good as a rest, and very often it actually is. But sometimes you can't even muster up the energy for a change. You want something that's at your own pace so you can recover. So again, all these things are pretty business material because it is the loss of knowledge and talent and abruptly that loss, which is very disruptive to workplaces.
Yeah. Do you think, as we move on, that with a lot of the changes that we're seeing, in the pandemic, and a lot of the better, I guess, the better environment that we're seeing out there, that we're going to slowly get back to normal, like whenever, if that is ever a possibility. But it's, we got to start moving. We got to start moving in the right direction at some point, right?
Yeah, well, some things definitely will settle down. Again, the disruption is unprecedented. So, I do predict that this, retirement and great resignation and things of that sort, that will settle down as people start to adapt and just their current circumstances. I do see that very slowly we will have more social interaction. But again, I still have my eye on that very, very acutely because I do fear that it might not get even the way it was before. And the way it was before was still not great. We did have more isolation in our society. So I do think that there will be a number of things that feel better over time, but we cannot take that for granted that everything will. we have had a big change, and our lives and our lifestyles right now are not conducive to good mental health. And that's where we have to be intentional. Just like, again, a number of years ago, our lives and lifestyles changed and really aren't that conducive to good physical health. So we have to be intentional to make sure that that happens.
All right, super. Thanks, Paula, for joining us today.
Always a pleasure.
All right, super. Paula Allen, Global Leader and Senior Vice President of Research and Total Wellbeing for LifeWorks. I'm Mario Toneguzzi. This has been Taking Care of Business. Thanks for joining us today.